The city of Johannesburg has recorded over 100 accidents in the last 30 days. A significant portion of those include children and scholar transport. Dev, is there something peculiar that happened over the last 30 days, or is 100 motor vehicle accidents over a 30-day period just about the normal average that we experience in Gauteng?
Well, Oliver, just to let you know, yes, if you really look at the road accidents for the last couple of weeks, were actually quite a bit of them. And if you really read and watch news, you can see there's a lot of accidents due to the bad weathers and so forth.
So the weather conditions have been contributing to a spike in road vehicle accidents. Am I understanding that correct?
That's correct.
What are some of the other external contributing factors other than driver behavior that contribute to road vehicle accidents? Is it non-working traffic lights, which, by the way, Gauteng is plagued with? Is it the conditions of roads and streets across the province? Or are there other externalities that we're not particularly familiar with?
Personally, I think it's there are contributing factors. Obviously, in terms of your vehicles, it needs to be in tip-top conditions, from its tires to its lights and wiper blades and so forth. And then you get some of the drivers when it's raining, they don't actually reduce their speed. They still want to travel at a high speed. And obviously there's a lot of puddles of water around, and then your visibility is not the best. So basically what has happened, then the driver can't see these roads, and obviously that's when these incidents actually happens.
Yeah. What are the immediate interventions that can be exercised by authorities, particularly during adverse weather conditions, to make sure that driver behavior changes according to what the weather conditions that is demands of us on the roads?
Well, Oliver, what I noticed as well in the last couple of months, I noticed there's a lot of police appearance on basic intersections as well, where they just observe, and obviously I think that will actually stop the drivers of the motor vehicles to drive a bit slower and so forth.
Yeah, police visibility and traffic police visibility are key deterrents and key behavioral interventions that determine safety on the roads. Do we have enough of those, especially during adverse weather conditions?
No, I must be honest with you, when I was traveling on these sort of freeways, they are, but there's not many visibility of actually the polices. Obviously, because of the weather conditions, and I'm sure they have to travel from one scene to the other. And I think in terms of the actual personnel, we have maybe too little of them on the road in terms of visibility. That could be just my view.
Dev, certain vehicles are built very specifically for certain travel conditionalities, whether it be off-road or road travel, long distance, uphill travel, downhill travel, and slopey conditions. And in certain countries across the world, where there are heavy snowfall quite frequently in those countries, there's a legal requirement for vehicles to have fitted snow tires, or tires fit for those conditions. In South Africa, we don't quite have a stringent legal framework for our motor vehicles to comply with that suits the weather conditions. Given that we have an increased amount of adverse weather conditions due to various factors, global warming being one of that, is it time we reconsider the legal instruments that govern the suitability of our vehicles? Should we begin to consider imposing a requirement of tires that are friendly for road conditions of adverse weather conditions?
That's correct, Oliver. Yes, I think in South Africa, yes, we have certain types of tires that's homologated for this country's weather patterns and so forth. But obviously with other imported brands, in terms of the spec of the tires, in terms of what sort of, key indicators and speed indicators and so forth. Obviously, sometimes those could actually create a problem. Like a man on the street, if he actually has to come into one of the fitment centers and he's got the high performance vehicle, then what he or she's trying to actually look at is most probably put an affordable tire. And obviously, whoever the professional should actually guide them and put the correct spec for the tire, which will actually eliminate these sort of incidents that's currently happening as well.
Yeah. Are there other policy considerations that you think must be taken up to improve our driving conditions on the roads and, of course, to decrease road fatalities?
So Oliver, if you look at it, our legal limit in South Africa is 1.6 millimeter. We would recommend like 3 millimeter, and the reason for that is, there's better road holdings in terms of this adverse weather conditions as well. That would actually help, for the drivers to be actually safe on the road.
3 milliliters, are you saying 0.3 milliliters or 3 milliliters? Because that's higher than 1.6.
3 millimeters. So if you take the way you can actually do that, you can actually pop in at the nearest fitment center where they can actually check it. And that's actually done through a tread wear indicator. Or the quick, like a layman on the street, you could take a matchstick, and where the part where you actually burn it, the brown part, if you put that into your actual tread of your tire, you'll be able to check if it's on the legal limit or not.
Yeah. Let's talk about scholar transport, because that is of great concern as well, given that a number of those motor vehicle accidents include scholar transport. Are we doing enough regulatory work and enforcement on scholar transport operators?
If I look at when I'm actually traveling on the road as well, Oliver, if you look at it, in terms of people that transporting kids, you'll find it's a small vehicle where it's a 5-seater, and you got the sort of driver is loading this vehicle to the over the 5 people that should be in the vehicle. That's just a light motor vehicle. But if you look at it in terms of your mini vehicles like your taxis and so forth, you can look at it. There's no safety where, if the kid is in the vehicle, they should actually be buckled up as well. And they're just sitting sort of top of each other and so forth. And then obviously, I think in terms of the police should be actually more vigilant to actually avoid these things sort of happening.